to the bottom of it with your host, Joshua Moriarty.
Hello, welcome back to episode 56 of The Bottom of It. Pleasure to be here. Sorry it's been a month since my last episode. I promise I'm not slacking off. I've just been busy with the release of a bunch of things and working on projects here in Melbourne. Got the new All the Colours record, Volume 3. It's out. Go and take a listen. Do us old rock pigs a favour. It was produced by Chris Taylor from Grizzly Bear, and he's the man. It sounds pretty bloody good if I do say so myself. We talk about Chris Taylor actually in today's episode of the podcast. I also released a new single for Joshua Moriarty called Savage Love, and I did a Spanish version, Amor Salvaje. I put that out on Valentine's Day. It's got a Latin vibe and a bit of a mental guitar solo. It's worth a ticket to the show just to hear me shred like a frog in a dustbin. Alright, so today's guest is Jake Webb from Perth band Methyl Ethel. I think I would have first heard Methyl Ethel a few years ago when their song Ubu was doing the rounds. I think I was a little late to the party as it had already been in the Triple J Hottest 100 in 2017, coming in at 4th place. That's quite the achievement. And unlike a lot of the music that comes in the top 10 of the Hottest 100, it didn't actually suck. That song's awesome. I really, really like it. I think it was Ben from Miami Horror who played me the Methyl Ethel record, Everything Is Forgotten, and I remember being very, very impressed by it. Jake has a really interesting approach to chords and melody. He moves and jiggles and takes the chords in an interesting way, which I really dig, and his lyrics come from a cool place too. I like his vibe a lot. He's got a killer voice also, which always helps. He's got pipes and just a lot of character to his tone. It's great. So yeah, we got together at my place in Melbourne the other week after Methyl Ethel had just played as part of the Zoo Twilight series in Melbourne. We talked about all sorts. It was fun to get into it with Jake. I love it when my guests are coffeeed up and ready to go. He came with his coffee in his hand. He was juiced. We talk about that place musically where you feel the twinge of the cringe, as he called it, and how to escape that, what you should do. We decided you could probably stop all music being made from this point in time onwards, and we would have plenty to keep us going already for generations to come. We talked about being untethered in a live setting and how you need those moments to feel free. And of course, I asked Jake what song he never needs to hear ever again. Classic bottom of it stuff. All right, so let's get into it anyway. Ladies and gentlemen, episode 56 with Jake Webb from Methyl Ethel. Enjoy. Yeah, of course. Who was playing last night? Because they usually have a couple of bands there, don't they?
Hatchie.
Who's Hatchie?
Hatchie, young female artist from Brisbane.
Get into it a little more, yeah.
From Brisbane?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What does it sound like?
It's sort of like a really a more slick pop version of like bands like the Cocteau Twins and things like that.
I never really listened to that's their 90s band.
Yeah, 90s band. But like 80s, 90s. But
early
like
90s, right? So yeah, that crossover, 80s,
yeah,
90s.
So sort of I think they'll probably be more classified as like the late 80s.
Late 80s, yes.
Yeah.
Hatchie, any good?
Great, yeah.
Have you played with them before?
No, but we have played with them, but we'd never seen them before. We'd played at like festivals and things, but we've met them before.
Yeah, okay. It's beautiful at the zoo,
oh,
isn't it?
So nice. Yeah, really nice.
Did you get to see the animals or anything?
Yeah, we saw some animals.
I haven't been to Melbourne Zoo for a little while. Do they like the music? I wonder. Does it bother them? Probably not.
I'm sure it bothers them and sort of like stimulates them in ways that we have no idea of understanding.
Yeah, I don't know how animals respond to music.
Yeah.
Especially lions. What else have they got going on there?
I mean, yeah, I think they have a lot of animals. They got supposedly these elephants, the elephants that they have there, the Indian elephants, they have like this, the part in between there, just above their eyes, is like hypersensitive to certain like waves.
Okay.
So like they can apparently communicate through, I guess like it must be like really ultra low frequencies like whales do, but through the air. So they can sort of like feel through the ground, through their feet, and like on this part of their brain. So I imagine like some of that sub bass would have been making them go cross-eyed or something.
How's your sub bass levels?
They're pretty pretty meaty in the mix.
Do you guys play with backing track stuff? Because your records are this bunch of things going on, and there's 4 of you live.
There's 5 of us.
5
Yeah.
now. Oh, okay, so less out. The backing track starts to disappear when there's 5.
Well, yeah,
people.
I like to think we have like some ambient stuff like on an SPD,
Yeah.
but we sample most things. So
Okay.
like I use like a 404, and like on the Nord there's like we put like I just like re-chop up and like try to treat it as like playing a lot of the samples if there are samples. And
Yeah, for sure. Did you ever have playback stuff? Do you have rock and roll guilt where you?
Not really, actually. I was saying yesterday to some of the band, we were just having a chat, and I thought it would be really fun to just like one day have a show where it's really just like miming or something. It's like, just like could have a good time doing that, you know?
Yeah.
But I get I think sometimes, well, because Chris, who plays drums, and we are both kind of we love sort of conceptualizing and building a show on the technical side of things. Mm-hmm. So like finding ways to be able to play things and be untethered to a track. That's the thing that we hate the most. That's why we like to be able to be flexible, so you can draw and stretch things and not just be.
Yeah, the click track, backing track drives you nuts because it's just there is only room to improvise within the constraints of the amount of bars that you have.
Yeah,
which is really annoying.
Yeah.
I know, with Miami Horror, it's like the same set kind of every night. And, there's the part where you have your 16 bars to jam, but it's like, I can play a slightly different guitar solo here. But the rest of the band, it's never going to turn into anything other than just like the script of what the show is. Yeah.
I just like, I don't know, I wouldn't want to feel like I had a too strong of an opinion one way or the other to or like feel like a stickler. I could enjoy doing it either way.
Yeah,
but
for
I
sure.
think without scope to do something off the cuff, it wouldn't feel right for me. I'm definitely somebody who needs to have something happen that's unpredictable.
Yeah, of course. Well, that's sort of, I think that exhilarates an audience as well, though, doesn't it? If there's a sense that anything can potentially happen.
Totally, and I think bands are really good at orchestrating or like giving the audience the idea that is happening. I think I've definitely seen bands where you know that this is something that they do every night, but the audience feels like it is spontaneous.
Yeah, sure.
Which is also fine. It all comes down to smoke and mirrors anyway, and I think as soon as you start to like embark on this idea of wanting to play music like to people, you start to slowly peel back the veils of all this kind of the theater of live music, and I suppose once you can see behind that, you can never watch a show in the same way as you used to.
No, of course.
But at the same time,
not.
You sort of appreciate people who've gone to the effort to really. I don't know. I think I like a lot of the theatrics, whether that be somebody really trying their hardest to appear like they don't give a fuck, when they definitely do.
Yes.
It's all part of this.
Yeah, I sort of wonder about someone like Josh Homme from Queens of the Stone Age, who's the sort of new rock and roll god dude, smoking cigarettes and all that. But his voice always sounds impeccable. And he sort of gives the impression that there's no way he's warming up backstage. He just kind of walks on stage with a beer and a cigarette. But he's tra-la-la, fa-la-la-ing for probably an hour before he walks out,
surely.
I'm sure. It's kind of, what you're talking about. Is there an ethic for you then with your band or what you do? Like something that you always feel you need to do to be true to yourself with a live show, with recording or anything?
Probably.
Like an ethos of some sort that's developed over the years?
Probably, but I just like...
When do you feel whack?
What do you mean?
Well, like, is there something that you're like, sometimes you cringe at yourself, you're like, oh, I won't be doing that again, or someone tries to convince you to sing a part or in the studio do something, you're like, that's kind of against who I
Or I
artistically.
cringe at 99% of all of things associated with the music industry. Totally. And like I cringe at myself all the time. And whilst I'm playing on stage, there's moments I cringe every time. I can't even stand too close to Jacob, who plays guitar with us, for fear of having a back-to-back rock. Yeah, because that's not what it's about for me. There's parts of like the texture of songs and things that kind of go deeper that I wouldn't even want to try to explain too much because it would make me cringe. But there's just like something that, I don't know, there's something that I'm drawn to in it that keeps me going. But I think maybe if I were to think about it too much, it would just... Yeah, I feel like I'm constantly sort of, changing my mind about the things that I like.
Yeah, definitely. I think about conversations I've had. I mean, I remember talking to an ex-girlfriend of mine about how I would never, ever do any music under my own name because it made me a wanker. I was like, who are these people who just, you should have a Veil or a band name or, you're Trent Reznor, you have it as 9 Inch Nails. But then eventually I was like, oh no, I guess sort of the way to hide the least was to actually just use my name. And yeah, totally, like completely changed my mind within a few years. But 2 years ago, I would have called myself a massive cunt.
Yeah. I know exactly what you're saying.
So does that mean in a few years' time there will be a back-to-back guitar solo moment potentially?
There's always threatening to be. But like, I think, yeah.
Does that analysis then of you sort of 99% of things making you cringe, does it stifle you at times? Make it difficult to make decisions because what if it is whack? What if it does make you cringe?
So it surely it would, definitely, but like in more ways than just within music then. But at the same time, it's like I've the music that I make and the music that I've always made, I guess the choices that I make in my production and songwriting things are something that are instinctual. So I suppose the cringe is kind of helpful if it's just telling you that there's something not right about it. And there's like that cliche of just like, when you're sort of finishing a song or something, finishing something, and people say, well, you better change it now because otherwise it's, if there's something you're going, oh, I'm not sure about that. Sometimes people, the producer will say, well, like we should just change it then because you're going to have to hear that when it's like completed, Mm-hmm. But then at the same time, it's like perhaps that thing is, it's maybe you should just like sort of take that risk and leave it in there, But maybe there's cringe, and then there's also just like risk. There's just something that you like, but you're not sure if other people will like this. I don't like, that's for me a kind of a different thing maybe. Yeah,
I'm trying to think. I also think if you leave it in, maybe it does fuck you off, and then that's like in the old days how it was. We're rolling, and if you made a mistake on the take and everyone else did a great take and they said, no, we're keeping it, you have to live with the fact that you made that mistake to get yourself better.
Yeah.
So maybe it is good to leave it in to sort of learn the lesson from it.
Oh man, this mistake. I was listening back to some of the old music to like, because we played some older songs.
How old's old last night?
Oh, just like a few years old of my songs. And I was just so lazy. I did not care. I just was get the take done enough so that it's the part is right.
Yeah.
And just like the timing is all over the place. So yeah, when it comes to leaving mistakes in, I mean.
But don't you think that there's sometimes kind of, I appreciate when I listen back to some of the older music that I've made, just because for those reasons that I didn't overanalyze potentially, and sometimes it was good enough was good enough as well. And I wonder if you can kind of, as you get better and more, sort of developed, whether you can lose. There is something that is lost, I think, as well, like that naive nature of it, I find. I wish I could go back, but I know that there's no going back, so I've just got to keep moving forward and get better.
Yeah.
But I lament it.
Yeah, you can definitely orchestrate putting the naivety back in, but if you've lost the naivety as a human being, then you're not going to, that's what's really been lost, you know what I mean? That's what I feel like. That's music that's just made by a younger version of myself with less, there's just so much more. I think as well that I think my tastes in music back then were for simple, messy, kind of lo-fi music as well. So it's like there's this sort of perfect storm for me personally back then. Yeah. But yeah, I know I understand what you're saying with in terms of trying to if you're someone who's always pushing forward. You know, and thinking about how can we make this better? How can I improve upon my last thing? Yeah.
Is that what's happened for you since that music? Is that how it's developed?
Totally, in ways. Because I think I sort of just make it hard for myself and want to sort of learn everything there is to know about all the bits.
Are you playing most of the bits?
Yeah.
Always?
All of the bits.
Has that always been the case with all your records?
With all this Methyl Ethel stuff, yeah.
Yeah. And so the guys in the band, they're sort of guns for hire for the most part?
Or is it that sort of sells them a bit short.
Yeah.
They are the live band.
Yes.
And I think this group will be the live band.
Yeah, because it's been the same guys in the live band for some time, right?
For a while, yeah. For a couple of years. It's as the 5-piece, and Tom and Chris we've been playing this music live ever since it kind of was known outside of Perth.
Yeah.
As far as we when we played outside of Perth, it was always Tom and Chris in the band. So it sort of feels like when it's live, they are what it is. It's just a different thing.
Why? You know, I'm the same. There's been plenty of times when I haven't got guys that I've played with to play on records. But what is the reason for that? Why do you do that? Control freak need to...
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Speed.
Speed,
yeah.
Lots of speed.
Yeah, leave that hanging out there. No, it's just sometimes it's quicker for me to play it than try to explain the idea. Mm-hmm. I think I've been calling myself a control freak to people so much lately that they believe it more than I believe it now.
Yes, okay.
And I'm more now...
There needs to be what's a better way to put that term?
I don't know. not at this time of the day. It feels like too early to sort of
AM.
do that. But
a less disparaging one, maybe.
I think I'm impatient.
Yes. Okay.
I think if I'm waiting for someone to even just rock up, so I'm looking forward to recording more of other people's music, friends, over this next year. I think I feel like I bang on about this stuff, but never actually do it. But I have started to helping people out, and just having other people being in the room with them. I really enjoy that. But when it comes to my ideas and my music, I think if I'm waiting someone even to just turn up to the studio, there's so much that I can get done while they're late that slowly you just start to think, well, if I'm waiting for somebody to figure out a part, something simple, or there's sort of details that sometimes for a long time I thought, well, I can just do it myself, and if I'm ending up going back and redoing it, then that's sort of more of it. But yeah, it's just wanting to just get wanting to get something down instantly, But
yeah, I completely understand.
Yeah.
I think I have the same impatience.
Yeah, there you go.
As well, yeah, definitely. But yeah, when working with some other people, sure, you're willing to let them take their time because it's their music. But when you just know you can get it done better, quicker.
Yeah, and it's like I'm not particularly good at playing any instrument.
Okay.
And I've been playing these instruments now for a long time, but I'm not, and I'm being completely honest here. I'm not trying to be like, I'm not going to sit down at your piano and, tear something up and say, oh, I'm no good. I am no good. I spend a long time working things out that are simple, but sort of like it's all in the kind of the orchestration, the production. So it's not that I'm impatient with someone because their abilities. A lot of people are much better players than most people are much better players than I am. But I think the things that I like are there's that. It's almost like it's a way of playing something that I'm interested in, that sometimes it's hard for me to get across exactly, in that.
Yeah, there's so many intricacies.
Yeah. Or I would ask the player to just do something that they wanted. Like play something completely fresh. I don't know. I'm probably just... The coffee's kicking in now.
Yeah, good.
Yeah.
Keep going. Have you been... So you're going to produce other people? That's something you're interested in doing?
I'm going to just like help. I'm going to rephrase the word produce.
Facilitate.
Yeah. Because I am fortunate enough to have time and resources to be able to do it. So, especially all the members of my band all have their own music and projects. So I've just said, now's the time. Just any time you want to come in and work on things, and then sort of other people that we're friends with and we know it's the same thing. It's sort of there's at the moment it's not like a management reaching out to young
sure.
hot artists, and it's just I want to kind of share a bit of the
Have you done much young hot artist work? Are you involved in that scene at all?
Not really, no.
Not at all?
I was sort of... I spent like about half of the year last year in LA. Yes. And did some...
You can't avoid it in LA, can you?
No, you can't. I met some really lovely people, some young hot songwriter folk.
Mm-hmm. For their own projects, or sort of working with you?
Well, I thought it would be just for... It was framed as a meet and greet kind of thing, and you sort of see what happened kind of thing. It turned out that it was people wanting to write songs with me for my
yes,
which is fine, but the short answer is to the story is that it just was definitely not for me.
Yeah, it's difficult, especially if you have been, doing everything completely yourself and everything's coming from you, inviting just strangers in. And I think it's usually the songs are supposed to be done quite quickly, and you'll have a real sense of chords that you like to do, or melodies, or lyrics even that you use. So to just have a stranger be able to work something that's going to... And they just listen to your back catalogue and think that they kind of sometimes know what the sound needs to be. It's like, there's a little more to it than that.
Yeah, it's hard, isn't it? Because the churning out of the song, that's a really fun thing to do. I like with friends, with, sitting down and making something just... It's great with anything, But... And it's not that it's not that I'm really precious or anything, but I think, and it's kind of maybe like a pretentious thing to say, but there's something about like a personality clash sometimes that is never going to work in that way when it comes to doing things like that. And I'm not to say that I clashed with anybody in my experience, but
they're just like kind of blind dates that they put you on, really, and you're hoping for the best. Yeah.
And to go back, there was, sometimes if there's if you feel a bit of the twinge of the cringe, you can spend the whole time just trying to placate a person, you know.
Yeah.
And then it's like it's quite stressful. Have you done much of that before?
Yeah, lots of it.
Yeah,
But I...
like on both sides.
Yeah, definitely. Yes. I've done a few of those APRA Song Hub workshop things, and LA sessions here. I'm better at dealing with them now.
Yeah.
But I also... A lot of them feel like a massive waste of time.
Yeah. Okay.
So if I sense any of that, I have to feel like I'm going to get something out of it. Otherwise, I won't waste my time. Yeah. I just check the artist out before, maybe see if there's someone that I'm interested in, or if it's writing for me, make sure I have quite a good intention for the session, or make sure I've got some chords or something that can actually manifest into a piece of work. Otherwise it is just you could just sit at home.
Yeah.
But what's your process normally then? How do you do it, right by yourself?
It's always kind of different, but these days my approach is just to have something finished as out of the box as possible before taking it into production world.
So that's what, acoustic, electric, piano? Piano?
Yeah. It's usually everything sort of as much as possible charted out. Well, written all of like the melodic stuff written out on piano. Mm-hmm. And so like obviously it'll just be like chords and chord voicings so that I can figure out where all the harmonies are going to sort of sit, as far as like where all the bass information and where all of like the meat is.
So you take it that you go that deep in.
I've started to, more and more these days. And then kind of slowly it's just sort of thinking about where the rhythm, like what I want out of the rhythm section. And then the picture of the song itself will start to appear. Mm-hmm. And then I can take it into production zone, because I was working on something recently, and I've only just started again getting back into like full songwriting production mode, which is like where I really love to be.
You got a set up at home?
I just moved into a little actual studio in just out of Fremantle.
Nice.
Which is an old friend's old space that was luckily enough was sort of I can hire, kind of lock and key thing.
Great.
First time
have you not had that before?
No, and it's really nice to be able to leave. It's not it's and like to go to work, and that's been really really good. Yeah. But I went in there and set everything up, and I overworked this one song so much because obviously I was really excited about being in there. It's just like the most overblown, there's like clarinet layers, stacks.
You're playing the clarinet as well?
Yeah. But so yeah, I think the more I can just have a plan is going to be a good moving forward. Yeah. It's so fun though. Is that also so stressful because you're just like, oh my God, I just poured so many hours into this thing. What is the point? Why am I even doing this? Like this song, you just like, you loved it. And then the next day it's like, I hate this so much. This is the worst thing. And I've just wasted all my time. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I talk to a lot of people about that. That's kind of, what is the point?
Yeah.
Do you have any answer?
It's like, I mean, I obviously this is just sort of like a very big question, but really there is no point to anything really. I don't think, and so why even? I think thinking too much about I think that is such like an oversimplification of something that is so incredibly complex. Even to be breathing is so complex. Mm-hmm. That to be asking what's the point is the wrong question. It's the wrong approach. I think if you were not to have, if you weren't able to in some way make peace with the fact that, you know, we're sitting right here talking, doing this podcasting. It's like you just sort of can stop you from just doing it because you're doing it, you know. And maybe you let yourself think that you're good at it, or you want to do it or something, you know. I don't think it has to be for any reason.
No, I sort of what we were saying at the start. I mean, for me, the point is just that I feel like an urge and a need to make music or to just get it out of my brain. It's like if ideas keep showing up, then I feel a sort of sense of duty or responsibility to kind of serve them and get them out of my head. Otherwise, they're just going to sit around. Whether they're good or, you know, you try and make everything, well, I do anyway, the best that it can possibly be when I do it. But then after that, I don't even really know. But yeah, I don't think about the point of it too much more than just a sort of an addiction that I have. And maybe, I mean, if you sat there for that many hours just kind of going through it. But even with that, you're talking about like, was it a waste of time without going really deep into it? I find even you will have got a lot out of, even your clarinet playing got better, or you learned how to make your clarinet sound better for the next song that you need to do. There's always, exactly. You're always getting something out of the hours that you put into it, right? Whether it's a song that makes it onto the record or something, it gets you to the next one. Yeah.
And the frustration as well just becomes because often I have no one to stop me from going too deep. No one's saying, or not even like a feeling of someone in the room, you know, standing there and I'm thinking, whoa, should we, you know, I can't bounce any idea off anyone. So yeah, because time, like the wasting of time is like a bit frustrating because I believe both sides. Like sometimes I just, you know, how you just feel like you're running out of time on this project, or like you've wasted a day or something. But really, also, it was. I believe exactly what you're saying. Truly, that, you know, none of it was wasted if I'm to think about it. Like, but you can't beat sometimes that just feeling getting a bit down about it, you know. But
yeah, I don't find that any of that. Maybe I'm a little bit better at dealing with that as the years go by, but not drastically. There's still the really intense love-hate relationship with the song or a piece where you just have no idea what you've even created, or you walk out going, "We nailed it, guys! That's the best," and then the next day it's a massive turd, or the other way around. You know, you'd like to think that you would just learn to sort of take a step back from all of it potentially. But then maybe, that apathy, it would have to not be apathy. It would have to be sort of another way of approaching it. How was James Ford to work with?
He was great.
Yeah. He's done so many records. Yeah. It's amazing.
As the years go by, I realized that I actually learned in that, you know, week and a half or whatever that we spent finishing stuff off, because I basically took in all of these sort of completed songs, and we re-recorded some bits. Right. It's sort of, he just sort of brought it more to life. But yeah, I've realized that I've learned so much from him in that kind of week and a half that I still do to this day. So many little just like production things and just it's that's definitely the way that I learn, is just sort of always sort of sit back completely and like let you do your thing. But I just know that I just must be hyper aware of everything that's happening the whole time. I remember when Marta Soloni, when she was mixing this latest record, I was just sitting there, and just like it felt like a normal thing for me in this small mixing room, and she would just turn around And almost like I'm staring straight at her screen, and she's a bit freaked out the whole time. But yeah,
I wonder
so
about
much to
that
learn.
with the mix engineers. That's you let them do their thing first before you come in. Otherwise, I'd just be staring at them.
Yeah,
But yeah, I kind of have the same thing with definitely, like there's so many tricks to learn. There's so many different ways of learning the process from other people. And it is funny, you don't realize even just those tiny little, throwaway things they might say that sort of stick with you for a long time. We did a record with Chris Taylor from Grizzly Bear recently.
Nice.
And the main thing I got with that is when doing a double, like doubling the acoustic or the electric or whatever, he's like, always make it slightly different in some way. But I just never really thought about it. I've always just done it twice. He's like, just turn the EQ slightly down, maybe change the pickup a little bit, something just to make it slightly different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think, I guess the problem with working by yourself so often is not having other people to learn from. Do you find that becomes a difficulty for you, or you just have to keep...
Yeah, feeling a bit like feeling like you stagnate a bit, that's all. Definitely. And I don't know, I think I have to just put what I say into practice. I think I just have to spend this year working more with other people and bringing other people in again, like I kind of probably used to, or just have people around, and then I'll be able to know again what's right for me.
And if you're, like you said, facilitating other people, that will give you new juice and new ideas anyway, won't it?
I'd love to... I think I'd love to do some sort of like record, like write a bunch of songs and have like a session band come in and like a really, really killer...
Red hot.
Yeah, do the like Steely Dan thing. Like that would be... I would love to have a go at that, see how that works out. And even just like be more of an armchair producer. Yeah. That would be, if you had piles of cash and you go into one of those like amazing studios and have everything sound exactly how you say. I want the drum kit to sound exactly like this, and that would be very fun to do.
I feel like that's what Mark Ronson's kind of doing, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, just where you really are just using your ears, and you don't technically have to know how to do all of it, but you're just sort of picking and choosing references and players and going and loading up a song like we want that drum sound, and then just making the engineer, asking.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Getting them to do it for you. That would be the best.
It would be. I think because knowing my way around a studio myself, I wouldn't feel... I think there's a lot of... if you feel confident... It's about confidence, isn't it? Mm-hmm. You need to be able to walk into that room and if you don't know, like signal flow or what is happening... Yes. You better be able to... You got to be able to fake that sort of thing, Mm-hmm. Because I've seen people who don't have as much knowledge, and they sort of overcompensate sometimes. Like, yeah, it's a bizarre zone, the studio. I hated going into studios for so long, right? Because I had so many bad experiences.
That's growing up. Those,
yeah. Well, because like there's always somebody who has a studio, and when you sort of play in bands when you're young, kind of the idea of going into the studio to record like something is like is an exciting prospect. But at the same time, like one of my best friends in high school, he started making music and going into the studio realm sort of really early. So him and I together would make things and record things through high school. So then he set up this studio, which now I'm kind of in, still like years and years ago. So from my like late teens, early 20s, we spent all our time like in an actual studio, and that's for me where I found a love of the studio, but other people's mentalities around it. When I would go to others, it would sort of like because I'd had this totally other experience, you know,
Yes,
this sort of
course.
homely atmosphere with this person I knew so intimately well. I don't know, just like there's a kind of a...
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
I don't feel like I said anything just then, but like you get what I mean.
I get what you mean. Well, how old are you?
32.
32. Yeah, so there would have been like just starting to have people have their own studios a little bit when you're finishing high school.
The bedroom stuff
Would have
was
just,
really still like was all like really lo-fi kind of.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I'm 36, and I feel like it wasn't until even like I was 25 or something that I started to have friends who could actually do things for us. Maybe 23, 24, something like that.
So he was sort of the outlier. He was he was starting a bit like a business, recording other bands and doing things, and then we could just make our own music in between kind of thing. So I was sort of always borrowing time of his and learning from him because he had all the knowledge and he had the drive, and I was just the sort of floating around, like making things, and like he encouraged me to, because the main thing I learned from him is how to be behind somebody, sit behind an engineer or a producer and not annoy them and to just be there and not be hovering. He was just like he would get so just like just give me some space kind of thing. So I learned how to sort of be a good assistant and like sort of around in that way. Fuck. But I'm
super conscious of that these days.
He encouraged me to get a 4-track tape machine, and that was the sort of the beginning of my experience recording music of my own.
4-track.
It's just such a good way to be limited,
yes,
and to make choices that don't impede, you know, the end result, or like they don't mess up what's going to happen in the end. Because if you whether it be, you know, record like your actual take, or whether it be drastic EQ or something like that, you know, you sort of have to be careful because it's all being bounced down. And it's going to slowly become more and more lo-fi, and you know, it's going to get sort of smudged.
Has that limited ethos stayed with you then, do you think?
I think it...
Subconsciously, perhaps?
Subconsciously, yeah. Because even though I put like what I was talking about earlier of this song that I've just been working on, even though...
we won't use that as the benchmark.
It's still... at least I know that that's too much kind of thing. And I think limitations are something that that's like an ethos.
Yeah, well, that's sort of what defines an artist or a project a lot of the time is... I mean, the Chili Peppers, they can only have a guitar, a funky bass, some drums, and Tony Kiedis going bubba jibba jibba over the top. And love it or hate it, when you hear it, you know that it's them for all of those reasons, you know? I think that is a difficulty for a lot of younger artists, is just actually figuring out who or what it is they are going to be when, the idea, you know, the potential is limitless.
Yeah.
With Ableton and Logic and all of that, like how would you even know who you were going to be? It's
kind of a weird time. It feels like a weird world, because one example being, which kind of will open up the conversation, is sitting, having lunch, opening up YouTube to watch just something arbitrary while you eat lunch, and you're advertised like a MIDI chord pack on the YouTube, and it's like all these young producers. If you've seen it, it's, to me, I thought it was a joke. And this is like probably says more about me than anything else. But I think MIDI chord packs are great, cool, go for it. Like, pull up a chord progression. Like, steal chord progression from this person. I don't care what you do. like I have no judgments there, but just the way that all these hot young producers and like these beat makers were, it's like, oh damn, like this, this seventh chord, like you're in this position there, like whoa man, you're just like, if I had this when I was 20 years old, I would have made so many beats. And I don't know, it's funny that how it's just, that's, I think like the advertising, the fact that is that targeted advertising to me says something, which shows me that the kind of the world has changed in this way,
Yeah, absolutely.
And I don't know, I can't explain why or how, but it's like this sense that.
Well, the fact that they know they can make lots of money off young people trying to produce music.
Yeah.
Basically is it, isn't it?
Yeah.
How are they getting us? Guitars? Were they selling us guitars when we were kids? No, but there was not really YouTube to have it sold to you in that way. So it
the
would
music sells the guitars though as well,
yeah,
doesn't it?
that was it, wasn't it? There wasn't intense advertisements for guitars or anything.
Yeah.
That's how you started, guitar? Or was piano as well?
I mean, piano was around first because I have a sister who's 4 years older than me, and she basically played classical piano from a really young age, and so it was around, and we could sneak onto it,
Right.
But if you didn't know how to play it, then you sort of weren't allowed to touch it. But
Says who? Your parents?
yeah.
Right. And so they got you lessons?
Oh, we did some. My younger sister and I did some lessons. When we were like 5, but it didn't stick, and it was kind of like if you even at a young age you had to sort of commit a little bit to it, or
Yes.
show that you were going to practice, otherwise you don't do it, kind of thing. And we didn't really want to at that age. So, and my older sister kind of like she showed a bit of promise, I suppose, and so was encouraged to follow it through. And so she played all the way through high school and a touch into university.
Yeah. So did the grades? Was she?
She was good at it.
Yeah. But what I've noticed, for the most part, a lot of people who learnt in that way through high school, grade 5, grade 6, grade 7, grade 8, whatever it is you do, shows what I know about it. All I know is that grade 8 was sort of the top one that people would do, and then after that it changed into something else. But I knew so many people who played and got there and then played maybe a little bit for a few years in university and then just have never played ever again.
Yeah, that's exactly her story too.
And they never actually learnt how to just play it for joy or with freedom, or if you asked them to play it, they couldn't play you the piano without playing a song that they had learnt.
Yeah.
They couldn't improvise in any way or just have fun with playing any notes they wanted to. It kind of, it's weird. It's like they were just learning it like I don't even know. It's not, it was not through sort of passion or feeling or emotion. It was just actually like learning a skill.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I wonder how much. I'm sure there are a lot of different ways nowadays to, like, that you can be taught an instrument, but it certainly, I think there's merit to it.
For sure, yeah.
Yeah, but if you're not moving into, like, if you're not also then taking on composition, I think composition was always part of like a music education, but in a way of learning the rules. If you don't get to the point where you're told you also can break all of these rules, or you can also just do anything you want with this thing, then it's like the final, it's like the Scientology thing, or like the final piece of information. You never kind of got to the end to realize that, and then again, everything you've learnt, you have this skill now. Take it and do something interesting with it, or all of those other bits are just as important in a way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Because the skills, you can't deny that the skill of playing an instrument, or is there's something core about that in the making of music, and it is like it's not like required necessarily to be able to make something amazing, but it certainly helps.
Yes.
You know, I feel like you can't sort of like, that people who are able to get to that level of playing, there is something that they have that, you know, could have been. It's not that like they're completely incapable, you know. But I just it's sad that it rewires them in a way that education.
Yeah. I guess the teachers don't. It doesn't seem like they encourage 10 minutes at the start of every lesson to just muck around and just play whatever you want, or it's just, it always, because I guess they've learned in a strict fashion and it just kind of continues.
Have you I don't know how much you like think about music, like the notes, you know. But have you been interested in like dissonance very much?
In what respect?
Just has it just like grabbed you at any point of how nice just like parallel notes and just dissonance can be?
Yes.
Yeah.
The other night I was playing the piano and I was in a peculiar mood and I just was smashing it basically, like just whacking the low keys. I played for about an hour, and as I got on, I just, because I don't care, like I can play okay, but I want to explore it. So it was just getting as many weird noises out of it as I possibly could, just for the joy of it, because why the hell not? See,
and this, like, it's exactly my point. And this, man, whoever's going to listen to, I don't know who's going to listen to us talk about this kind of bullshit, but it really, there is something about that. That is the side of it. I think that explains exactly the sort of part of it that's missing, or maybe it's like a complete opposite.
Yeah.
That these difficult and sort of like non-traditional and like rule-breaking things that are just sitting right there. It's literally just like something that a child would walk up to a piano and do. And that if it's purposeful, it's musical. It's just like, I find that so interesting and so great, and kind of trying to marry all of it or just appreciate all of it.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny if you study and you get deeper into the study of it, it seems like they have to just keep going to be able to play like children.
Yeah.
But if you never really learned, then it's easier to play like the child from the start. But I noticed with guitar, there was a guy I was in a band with, and I was getting deep and getting quite nerdy and learning lots of scales. And the other guy in my band had always just played by ear and feel, and he had a cool vibe. And then for like a month, he started practicing scales. And then he did a few guitar solos, and they were terrible because he was suddenly following the rules a little bit. And I went to him, "Stop, bro. Go back. Don't learn anymore.
Yeah.
It's not working for you. You were way better when you were like doing Kurt Cobain style, just random shit that has lots of heart and feeling in it."
Yeah, that is interesting. It's man, it's hard to talk about music in a fresh way, isn't it? As well, it's like, that's because it seems so. I don't know. You paint such a perfect picture of that, and yet it seems just like something that happens all the time as well. Do you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, good on you for having the courage to actually be able to speak up and tell that player that far out.
No, he's one of my good mates. I think he was happy to be told that he didn't need to learn any more scales.
True. Don't need to practice. Stop practicing.
Yeah, stop practicing. What song could you happily never hear ever again?
Probably like any of those like ringtone hits, you know?
What's the latest ringtone hit?
Oh, I don't know. I'm just thinking of those. I think what's that? The Crazy Frog.
Yeah, Crazy Frog.
Yeah.
Well, that was the Axel Foley one from Beverly
Yeah.
Hills Cop. I always liked that song when it was in Beverly Hills Cop.
Actually, you know what? No, I could happily not hear that song because I feel like I heard so many people sitting down at a piano and playing that little. There's like is that the like yeah. In like high school, so many people sitting down at the keyboard just doing that thing.
Do you get driven mad by certain artists or songs though? Does it get you frustrated or
not really?
Not a hater in that way at all?
Well, I would say something totally like ultra pretentious right now, but
yeah, let's hear it.
I don't think I would care too much if a lot of music I never heard again, because there's so much newer music that can potentially be made, and so much music for me to listen to that if like everything I've already listened to now, if everything I'd ever heard I never could listen to again, I think I would be fine.
It would probably be really good for you.
It could be, yeah. Yeah. There's still so much, and there's still, you know, these days it's crazy, isn't it? There are things that have been around. You know, when you're finding records from the last 50 years, you know,
I know,
that are amazing. It's almost like why make anything new? You still go. Let's everyone stop.
I've thought about
until we
that.
listen to all the other stuff.
Yeah, they could put a stop on music, and we'd be fine for a really long time. I know. I guess it's just it was okay because not all of it could be recorded, but now that it's all been recorded and it's all been put on the internet, it's become too much.
Yeah, yeah.
Because, you know, I guess a lot of people were doing it, even just hobbyists. Hobbyists didn't used to be able to clutter up the world of music by putting it online. But any old hobbyist can now be on Spotify the same as you or anyone else who's, you know, recorded properly. And they're not this sort of
recorded properly is you know, this. Who's to say?
Well, yeah, that is true. But we'll use James Ford as a pretty good reference point. He's made some giant records.
Yeah,
he likes you. So we'll call that recorded.
Yeah, that one was recorded properly, I suppose.
No, I know, and it is. It's like who am I to say that is true? But I'm like, oh well, I've been doing this long enough that I feel like I'm allowed to weigh in a little.
Oh, you can totally weigh in. Yeah. Of course. Yeah, you got to weigh in for sure.
Yeah,
but also the funny thing is that some records that I've listened to recently, and like pressed to vinyl records, have been these records made by these hobbyists that went the whole way. Like there's this guy like Joe Tossini from New Jersey back in, I don't know, like the 80s or the 70s, who is just this guy who wanted to make a record, and it's like. It has all the naivety that you were talking about, and someone's unearthed it and found it, and you know released this record, and it's so there's even like hobbyists from then that is getting, you know, it's like
interesting.
It's still all this music that's, you know, it's still being found in a way.
What does that record sound like? You enjoy it?
Yeah, it's just like I guess it's kind of it's on that sort of outsider music kind of spectrum, where it's sort of like a bit of like it has a bit of a crooner kind of a vibe.
Okay.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like it, I suppose.
Yeah, I shouldn't.
I'm not very good at reviewing things, you know.
That's fine. I understand. Yeah, I mean, if you know, it's like when someone asks you what genre your band is or something.
Oh yeah, you stare at your toes. The customs officer.
Yeah, I think
berates you for.
I've gotten better at it now. Just like, oh yeah, one band is a rock band,
yeah,
and the other one's sort of an indie dance band or something. You just make it as simple because that's really all it really is.
Never heard of you. No, sorry, never heard of you. Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
That's great.
Are you optimistic, pessimistic person? Do you think the planet's about to explode and end? Does it bother you? Keep you awake at night?
Doesn't bother me. I'm like, I think optimism and it just depends on what day it is. I don't worry. I can put the big things. I can compartmentalize those things pretty well, I think. But yeah, I worry about other things probably.
What do you write your songs about? Is it sort of the bigger issues, minute things? What sort of?
Yeah, I mean everything and anything and everything.
Everything and anything.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel sort of a sense of obligation as an artist, like you've got to write a big song that's going to change the world?
No way.
About keep cups?
No.
I'm
more of a nihilist when it comes to that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they sort of say that the more sometimes sort of personal the story is to the artist who's written it, the more it resonates with other people, right?
I also think there's just no story is just as important, or like something that does not make sense is just as important as something that makes sense. No story. It's like I'm also just interested in things that are kind of absurd in that way. It doesn't have to necessarily fit any kind of framework. Whereas as far as the idea comes, but not to say that I've like really done that very much. But
do you think you're getting better as a lyricist? Do you find?
Well, I would like to hope so, but
have your rules
changed?
changed?
I'm trying to get better. The rules have kind of changed. Well, like I sort of. Sometimes if I have enough time to think about it, I would come up with all these sort of plans and theories of how I'm going to do something. But when you're sitting down trying to work something out or work on something, I think you just sometimes can go back to just try to get it done, really. Mm-hmm. So these big grand ideas of sort of abstraction sort of disappear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you study music or art or anything like?
I studied like just an arts degree.
An arts degree.
But like kind of majored in literature and visual art. So there's a lot of that sort of side. And I studied music only in high school. Yeah,
because I think Methyl Ethel has it's arty.
It's has a fair dosage of the wank that comes with with thinking about things too much.
Wouldn't use that word.
Oh, you can use that.
You can use that word. I wouldn't. I like it.
Well, that's what I love about the word pretentious is that it's like inferring meaning where there is none. But how can you say that my music is pretentious because you don't know what it means? You know what I mean? It's like, how can you say that there's meaning inferred where there is none? Because there's plenty of meaning for me. Mm-hmm. You know, that nobody knows what I'm referencing and things like that. So, I mean, I might have got it wrong. Somebody who knows what they're talking about will probably say, "Well, this is why you're wrong." But for me, I just feel like, it's pretentious until you kind of know what I'm talking about. Mm-hmm. I remember seeing your band play twice, I think, in Perth.
Where?
One of them was at on that Northbridge, like there was like the lawn, the Piazza place, like right in Northbridge. Would have been maybe a rogue show for you, because that's can be a pretty hot little area.
Mm-hmm. Northbridge,
but
yes,
then,
I remember.
But then also there was that festival that didn't last for very long. That was like called One Movement for Music or something. This big sort of, I feel like Miami Horror.
Who else was playing? Do you remember?
I don't remember, but it was like there was like conferences and things at the same time. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Did you play there?
Yes, we did.
Yeah.
That's a while ago.
It would be ages ago, yeah.
Yes. That was near the start, like 8 or 9 years ago or something.
Because I remember seeing you and being like, wow, this band, like, they have a huge sound, and especially from going to, seeing bands in mojos and pubs around in Perth, it was good to be like, okay, so this is a serious band who know what they're doing.
Right. It's so funny to think that was how we would have come across, because it's not, at the start it was sloppy.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, not in a sort of bad way, but there was just so much more that needed to be done.
Yeah,
and in the last sort of 3 or 4 years, it's gotten way more together. Everything's sort of working. The technology's caught up as well to sort of help us get it to be what it needs to be.
Cool.
But then, gosh, yeah, I don't even know. But thank you.
Yeah. Hey, how was working with Chris Taylor?
Wonderful. He's awesome.
Yeah.
Lovely guy.
He's a bit of a shredder as well, right? He's like a really good player.
He's a jazz saxophonist was his main thing.
Well, okay.
And so he studied jazz and then started playing bass for Grizzly Bear. And then he was kind of a noise guy for a while as well. And then became a engineer, producer, and he's just a serious high achiever.
Yeah, okay.
So he's an incredible chef. He's put out a cookbook.
Cool.
And he's always fixing his motorbike and his car.
Oh, okay.
And then attending to the garden, and then like building, fixing up the house, and just he can kind of do everything. So,
well, I reached out to him through a friend to maybe do some work. Like, I think we're almost like there was like the slightest sniff of us potentially doing some work together on my last one, which I ended up just doing by myself, which is probably why. But yeah, it was there was like almost the orbits.
Yeah, he's in LA. I'm sure he'd be keen. Let him know.
Just not good. So I think sometimes it's good to just have a conversation with somebody about, talk about things.
Yeah, well, that's kind of how it came about. Him and I had met years ago and sort of become friends, but I hadn't seen him, never would see him that often. It'd be when they'd come on tour or if I was in New York or something. But then I was living in LA and then he moved there as well. So we just started hanging out a lot more. And we were just having a coffee and I was talking about this new record with my band, All the Colors. And now we wanted to do a 90s riff kind of album. Mm-hmm. And he's like, sick, I love all that. And I'm like, really? Kind of just, my assumption was because he played in Grizzly Bear. Like, I knew that he was into other music, but that, and he was like, yeah, I love Weezer and Smashing Pumpkins and all that. I'm like, okay, do you want to do it then? Yeah. He's like, yeah, maybe, let me think about it. And then we just kind of discussed it a little further and made it happen. And he was totally in for the riffage and the distorted guitars. And
nice.
Yeah, it was really fun. It was cool to get him working on something else. But yeah, he knew his stuff. He could get super nerdy in the studio. There's a place that's called Vox Studios in Hollywood, and there's lots of old good gear and everything. I don't know. And yeah, he was very capable around all of that. That's where I'm not. I don't have those skills. I've been around enough now, like you're talking about, like the couch thing, where I could feel competent and confident enough that I could kind of direct a record into sounding how I needed to. But
it's nice. It feels nice when you don't have to force it. When you realize just organically, I know exactly what to do in this situation, or I know what this needs. I can actually articulate a little bit deeper, kind of what's required.
Yeah,
I think it's like without having to try too hard. So it's almost like you've waited 10 years to speak up about something, and when you finally do, you know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It's like a bit of a good feeling.
Yeah, I think I still have that, not quite, because I know there's people so much better than me. I still don't feel like I'm quite qualified just because of this. But I'd be way more qualified than a bunch of people who haven't been doing it as long as I have. But I'm always looking at the people who are the best, and they're the ones that I want to be at that level. So I always feel like I'm never quite there and can't quite say that I could do it. yet. I don't know.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Do you ever think if you just had on some days, if you just had the confidence, then do you ever feel like you would like to be like? Is it something you would like to be able to do, or you're happy to just like? Which I think is a really nice thing too. To when somebody knows that there's somebody who can do a job better and they help facilitate them to do their job best, or would you prefer? Do you maybe envy being able to? Do you know like how?
Yeah, I mean, similar to what you're saying. At the moment, I have been facilitating some friends' projects because I still feel like there's more I need to learn before I could probably say that I could do it for other people and actually take larger chunks of money doing it, you know?
So, yeah.
I think that's the thing as an artist, like putting the dollar value on what it is that you've learned in all of your experience. It's funny, I go to the osteo or even just like healers and people who go, yep, that'll be $150 for the hour. And they don't even blink and they're happy to charge you. And I feel like some of them haven't probably even studied as much as I have with music. But who am I going to charge? Another artist? They've got no money.
It's difficult. There's definitely a lot of people who talk about. It's kind of a bit of a problem for because I was chatting to an artist, like a painter, an actual like a visual artist the other day, and she said that even though I can paint something in a short amount of time, and she is someone who she's made peace with the amount of money that she charges for her paintings. She said because. Yeah, even though it takes me a short amount of time comparatively to paint this, and I sell it for X amount of money. That each stroke I have has taken me, a decade to like every bit of experience that I have is in all of that. So it's like you're saying, it is there is a lifetime of
absolutely.
It is a lifetime in each part of it. So, but yet they're like kind of I guess. Almost is like not really doesn't really it doesn't have the sort of like ability to frame that sort of concept,
Yeah, and it's tricky being in an industry or a medium where anyone has the ability to do it and there's no qualification to show that you have achieved anything with music. I mean, I guess you could go and get a degree in music production or something like that, but no one really cares about that so much, do they? Unless you were going
to work out, it could just work out exactly like the pianist.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's still something that I sort of struggle with a little bit, how to actually charge people for what it is that you do. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. It's definitely not an easy kind of thing.
Nah.
But it shows that your heart's in the right place.
Yeah. Just not my wallet.
Yeah, that is true.
Thanks so much, Jake. That was lots of fun. I really liked the way his mind works. It was a pleasure chatting to him. If you haven't, check out the Methyl Ethel records. Everything is Forgotten in their most recent record, Triage. My fave song on Triage is the tune Trip the Mains. It's a killer jam. Really, really like that one. There's some excellent stuff. He's doing good work. They also just put out a new single called Majestic AF. Looks like there'll be plenty more music coming, so get involved, everybody. Yes, right on. Thanks so much for tuning in. Back soon with more red hot convos. In the meantime, do me a favor and like and subscribe and all that nonsense. I don't know, write me a review if you can be fucked. But whatever, that's not what we're about here at the bottom of it. I don't want to be one of those people harping on about like and subscribe. But please, do give the new All the Colors record a spin. Very proud of that one. Would appreciate it. All right, that'll do. Take care. Back soon. Thank you very much. See you later.